I talk, you listen, or you turn the channel. Either way, I'm still gonna talk. Welcome to Unfiltered. Trying to finish up all this last minute notes here, but that's all right. I'll finish those later. It's for the end of the show. Motorcycles. Start seeing them. You're going to start seeing them. Hopefully it'll be before you run over them. Keep your eyes peeled. It's springtime. Motorcycles are back on the roads. Take a little extra time before you whip out around the corner. Look twice. Motorcycles are small, hard to see. And a lot of guys that wear motorcycles wear like dark clothes, and so that doesn't help. But I have noticed around Tanglewood, the motorcycles are popping up in the dooryards. And it's been some great weather, at least around here. It's been great weather. I was so happy on Thursday before we filmed the show because I watched the Weather Channel, or one of the news channels, had a weather report, and Mike, our old camera operator, is out in Colorado. And he used to call and say it was 68, he's in his shorts. Meanwhile, it was cold here and we were freezing. They're having a blizzard out there today. They're saying Denver could get upwards of 10 inches of snow. By the time it gets to us, it'll be petered out, warmed up, and some rain. But we're getting rain Thursday night. There's another chance of rain coming for, I think, Saturday night into Sunday. But at least it's rain. Temperatures are starting to push up. Still no 70 degree day in sight. And the low temperatures at night are still the upper 20s, the 30s.
Well, just a quick touch on the motorcycle safety for all the riders out there. Just remember there was a lot of salt and sand put down on the roads, so until we get a few rainstorms come through and wash that crap off, it's going to be a little touch and go. And for all those four-wheelers out there, all the people that drive cars, be aware that motorcycles don't have as much control right now because of that. They don't stick well to cold roads and so forth. So, cut the guys on two wheels a little slack because they're a little rusty, been in all winter and got some cabin fever, need to get some fresh air. But,
this is true.
All the riders, just be aware the roads aren't all that great yet.
To the riders, wear a damn helmet. It was just last week, somebody died because they weren't wearing a helmet and they fell down in the snow. Imagine what the asphalt road will do to your head. And it's probably not one of those things you would get up and go, oh, no, I'm fine. And then 3 hours later, you have a headache. Pretty sure in a motorcycle accident, the headache starts immediately. Yeah. Yeah. And now, she was on like the bunny slope. And she died from falling down without a helmet. Now, this is one of the things that kills me. Because I grew up, I don't even think they even made bicycle helmets when I was a kid. It was the only people that wore helmets when they were skiing were those ski jumpers from Australia. The guys that fly ungodly amounts trying to pretend they're birds and stuff. Helmets, elbow pads, we would like skateboard down Chapman Road with shorts, Sneakers were safety gear. You'd take your flip-flops off and put your sneakers on if you're going skateboarding. That was just safety gear. But kids back then were tougher than they are now. I guess. Because now we baby kids, and tell them they're grown up when they're not grown up. See, the thing is we're trying to force them. Because we made mistakes and had kids. We want to get our kids out of our lives as quick as possible, or at least out of our care. Get them to the point where they can care for themselves. And it's a tough job. That nobody wants to do, except the Octomom. She wants to do it a lot, because apparently she fired the little group that was helping her take care of all them babies. She says that they were just spying on her for the child welfare people, trying to get some dirt on her. So, I mean, apparently a month after you give birth to like 8 kids, you go through like all this paranoid stuff, you know, and you just, it's a crazy thing. People try to help her out. She throws them away. No, you're just going to spy for the child welfare. Nobody wants me to have these 8 kids. I don't know. Meanwhile, I don't think she's working yet. And I don't know where she's getting money to feed the kids or clothe the kids or anything like that. But what was the story I saw? Story about them taking like 70 puppies out of a house. Yeah. And they were all in like bird cages, and they were being treated horribly. I don't think it's the same house where the woman has 8 kids, because 8 kids and 70 dogs would be quite a chore. Unless she could get the dogs to wear diapers. I said, man, I found a story and then I lost it. Oh, no, I know where it is. I'll get it later. Let's talk more about the weather. Because, you know, when I told Lee today, I said, you know, I think I can spend the whole hour today talking about the weather. Because the weather is just so freaky around the United States that, I mean, blizzards in Denver. We've got tornadoes in Mississippi and across the South, which, now I was going to say I'm happy to see the tornadoes flying through the South again, but I mean, I'm not happy, but it is a sure sign that spring is coming. Because once you start getting tornadoes rolling through the South, you know that's the time. Another sign that spring is coming. Little town, actually, when we filmed the show on Thursday, it was still a little town. By the time you're seeing this on Friday, it may not be a town anymore. Fargo, North Dakota. The river was going to crest at 41 feet. They were laying sandbags, building up. And you know, one of the guys on, I don't know what news channel I was watching, but one of the experts, the weather experts, he hit it right on the head. We bring this stuff on ourselves. Before Fargo, North Dakota was built, the Red River ran through the land, and in the springtime, when the river rose, it just spilled out into the low-lying areas. See, people came in and built these levees all along the sides. The water can't spill out anymore. It's got no place to go but just up. And once it gets up over the levees, and they're saying that these levees are going to have to hold this enormous amount of water for at least 7 days before it'll recede. And of course, they're being hampered by ice flows and ice jams. And I heard, it seemed like it had been so long since I heard those words, ice flow and ice jam. And it took me back to when I was a kid. One year growing up, we had a huge early spring thaw or something, and the Connecticut River had burst its banks. And Dad took us up Route 12 through Charlestown, and it amazed me that on the opposite side of Route 12 from the river, I'm talking 200, 300, 400 yards away from the river, there were ice chunks as big as mobile homes sitting in the middle of fields that when the water and the ice jammed up, that was where it went. And the water receded and left these huge chunks around. And it was just so unbelievable to see the damage that something like that causes and that we bring on ourselves. You know, because if rivers have natural floodplains, you know, when the rivers rise, we come in, we disrupt stuff. That's why I say the earth, I mean, we're not ultimately the cause of all the bad things in the world. But our little tweaks and changes, you know, because we want a nice place to build a city. Sure, having a city along a river is really nice until the river floods, you know, and washes your house away. Then the insurance people come in, pay you off for your house, and your dumb ass builds a house right back where it was before the water wiped it off the foundation. It's just the way, you know, and I don't know why. Okay, that covers the Mississippi tornadoes. Devastating, I guess, down there. There have been deaths, and it's always bad to see. And someday, I mean, tornadoes are some of those pieces of weather that they haven't figured out yet. You know, they know they're caused by these supercell storms and microbursts and air patterns and stuff, but they don't know how to predict them. You know, same thing with hurricanes. They really can't predict them. They can't prevent them. No, and I've said over and over and over again, when the earth gets tired of us, she will take us out. Yeah. And maybe she's starting to get tired of us. Because on top of blizzard in Denver, flooding in North Dakota, tornadoes in Mississippi. Oh yeah, but that's in Australia. It's part of the earth, but it's not near us. So I'm not really worried about the heat from that. I am, however, worried about an enormous dust cloud came from a volcano in Alaska that is erupting again, Mount Redoubt. It spewed a dust cloud 65,000 feet into the air today. That's 13 miles. Now, you know what happens to this dust once it goes up there? It just, like, floats around, and it's soot and ash, and it's dark in color, I would imagine. Will we get cold? Will it block the sun's rays, or will it just tend to increase the heat because it's a dark mass? Will it absorb the sun, absorb the heat from the sun, and pass it through and cause, you know, more global warming? You think so maybe it will help global warming. Maybe. Well, then, yeah, then that's actually a cure for global warming, right? That's, I'm thinking that, you know, it's too cold, but no. And this, I guess this mountain's been fairly active for a while. And, you know, I'm not even sure exactly where in Alaska it is, if it's threatening anything, but I think it's one of those ones that's way out there. And anyway, it was just a quick clip on the news saying that it was exploding again. And
just before I went up to Alaska, on my way up there about a week and a half before I was due to get on station, they had one of the volcanoes up there erupted, and there was quite a bit of ash and soot and everything else that was laying around still 2 weeks after.
Right.
When I got up there. They said they were out with the snow plows and the snow removal equipment just scooping this crap up. There was like 3 or 4 inches of it that fell in Anchorage. So it can cause quite a mess. It gets into your air intakes and makes it tough to run vehicles and sucks breathe in, and
Oh, yeah.
so.
And
yeah,
now,
it
I
can
mean,
be
a
quite
cloud
mess.
that size will travel a long ways, you know. And we're worried about North Korea, because supposedly on Thursday they put a missile on the launch pad, one of those ballistic missiles, and they're saying it's for a space shot because they should be able to explore space like everybody else, you know. In which case, I would say, look, read a book. You know, read a book, watch, you know, the History Channel, the Learning Channel. People have already studied space. So there's no sense in just repeating, just because you're a different country, repeating the same things over and over and over again, you know? I mean, sure, it could take them 15 years. Eventually, maybe they'll land a guy on the moon, put up a Chinese flag, but, you know, it's 50 years too late. Or a Korean flag. Well, it's the Chinese are like backing them or something, you know? I mean, personally, I think we go in, we take care of it, and that's it.
Then we could fire a missile.
We should fire, yeah, then we could, and it's funny because while they were talking about that whole deal, and the fact that the space shuttle just detached from the space station is on its way back now, Russia just launched a rocket into space that was carrying, I can't remember his name now. He's the rich dude that been into space once as a space tourist. He paid $25 million the first time, and he just paid another $35 million, and he's headed up for his second vacation in space. Some extremely rich guy, but must be nice to go up, become an astronaut, to have enough money to go, I'd like to play astronaut for a couple weeks. Up you go, $35 million buys you a Soviet space shot up to the space station. So, all right. Save that one. Yeah, we better get into crew call, seeing as how Bruce is turning on all the crew lights. Who are we doing first, Bruce? We're doing, on camera one, we have Will this week with us. Yeah, I went to one. There's Will. Volunteer for the first time on our show. He's volunteered here at Cheshire TV before, and trying to get back into doing a little bit more around here rather than just laying at home. So it's a good thing. Glad to have you, Will. Camera 3, we have Jim. And the reason that Jim wasn't here 2 weeks ago was he was on vacation in Florida. And he's so happy to be back, you can tell. And in the booth.
Almost ready in the booth.
Almost ready in the booth.
There we are in the booth. How are
Yeah.
you?
Hi, Bruce. It's
How's it
Bruce
going out there, Rick?
and Andrea.
Andrea's back with us tonight, even though she's still suffering from a headache. Had a dinger coming in because of the pressure change that we got going on with the
Oh,
rain
yeah.
tonight, but such is life. She's here like a trooper and slugging on through, so.
Hey, we forgot to set your background lights up in the back tonight,
That's
too.
true. We did forget that this week.
Crap.
Oh, well.
It's only public
now
access.
everybody can see the difference. When we do put something behind us, it looks a whole lot better. But,
Yeah, but nobody watches anyway.
yeah, nobody watches this show. Now, occasionally I do get people at work saying, "Hey, I think I saw you on TV. Was that you?"
I just tell people it's my twin brother.
That's right.
All 5 of you.
That wasn't me.
All
I'm from
5 of the
Buffalo.
viewers.
We did have a race this past week. It was Bristol Motor Speedway down in Tennessee. Turned out to be quite a good race, finally, after having a week off and some boring stuff at the opening part of the season. But unfortunately, Kyle Busch won this race. It wasn't our pick, not our favorite driver, but he drove a good race and finished first, so we can't really complain about that. Denny Hamlin, your guy, came in second. He had a good run, so it turned out to be a Gibbs 1-2 for that event. So I'm sure he was happy. Jimmy Johnson came in third, along with Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane in fifth, Mark Martin, Ryan Newman, Jeff Burton, Juan Montoya with a top 10 run, and in 10th was Marcus Ambrose. So a few guys that don't normally run well had a good showing for the week. So it was good to see. Didn't shake up the points too much as far as the standings go. Jeff Gordon still out in front. Kurt Busch came up one. Clint Boyer fell back 1 to third. Kyle Busch up 3 to fourth, and Carl Edwards rounded out the top 5. I'll give you 6 through 10. Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Matt Kenseth. And then followed by David Ruderman and Kevin Harvick round out the whole top 12. Not a whole lot of change in points. Nobody got busted for doing anything stupid. Weren't any infractions after the race or anything like that. So looking forward to going to Martinsville. They're having 2 short tracks back to back. So Martinsville's a half-mile flat track, actually the shortest track in the NASCAR range of speedways that they go to. So it's always a fun race to watch, and should be some bumping and banging and moving and shaking. So we look forward to that. So hopefully everybody else enjoys it out there, and we will talk to you guys at some point.
Thanks, Bruce.
All right, back to you, bud.
All right. Hey, I got an email that it has the reason why we can't have the 10 Commandments posted at a courthouse. And the reason is because you can't post "thou shalt not steal," "thou shalt not commit adultery," and "thou shalt not lie" in a building full of lawyers, judges, and politicians. It creates a hostile work environment. Yeah. Kind of dumb, huh? How about some facts, some fun facts in the middle of the show tonight. These are some that were sent. These are facts from the Infection Control Center. During an hour's swimming at a municipal pool, and remember this because springtime's coming and we do have municipal pools. During an hour's swimming, you will ingest 1.5 liter of urine in a municipal pool for an hour. That's what you'll ingest. In an average day, your hands will have come into indirect contact with 15 penises, just from the doorknobs you touch. An average person's yearly fast food intake will contain 12 pubic hairs. Yum, yum, McDonald's. In a year, you will have swallowed 14 insects while you sleep, or Wendy's, or, I mean, it just says fast food. You'll swallow 14 insects while you sleep in a year. Every year, you will shake hands with 11 women who have recently masturbated and failed to wash their hands. What, Bruce? These are facts that may save your life.
Why do I need to know that?
I don't know. Why, because you don't shake hands with women? All right, how about this one? Every year, you'll shake hands with 36 men who have recently masturbated and not washed their hands. In a lifetime, 22 workmen will have examined the contents of your dirty linen basket. So if you don't want that to happen, lock up your dirty clothes when you have workmen in the house. At an average wedding reception, you have a 1/100th chance of getting a cold sore from one of the guests. Oh, and this is a really good one. Every day, you will breathe in 1 liter of other people's anal gases. That's right, 1 liter of anal vapors goes up your nose every day. It's tough to think about it. Some of it you don't even smell, do you? All right, let me get this other one, because I had this one picked out. And I said I was going to save it because I didn't want the crew to laugh before the show was on. Because before the show starts, I don't like my crew to have any fun. But once the show starts, must have been in here. Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I did read it before. It's the third grader in Orlando, Florida. Her mother died last month of breast cancer. That's not funny yet. It's what the little girl did that's kind of funny. Her name is Victoria Petrucelli. And her friend Jesse Theobald and their classmate sold more than 65 gallons of lemonade in a fundraiser last weekend and raised $24,000 for this cancer center that treated her mother. And I just thought that was kind of cool.
So what are you saying? AIG should start selling lemonade?
AIG should. Maybe should start selling lemonade. They should start selling something other than what they're selling because it's not working. All right. I don't know what the other one. There was another story, and I can't remember what it was. Last week and the week before, we talked about the economy. I don't really want to talk about the economy because it's still bad. And the politicians, the bankers, the traders, the investment guys, they're all still scumbags. But I talked about bands that were lowering their ticket prices. I talked about ballparks that were starting to have a deal because of the economy. Now guess what? Restaurants. That's right, restaurants. Because you still have to eat. And restaurants know that you still have to eat. So they're going to find a way to get you into their restaurants. Some of these restaurants have mouth-watering deals, is what it is. See, the baseball one I call deals and steals. Get it? Because of the baseball thing. This is mouth-watering deals. Chili's. On April 6th, the Chili's chain will offer a 10 meals for under $7 deal. TGI Fridays. Yeah, 10 meals for under $7. That's like less than $1 a meal. Not really. TGI Fridays. This month they began a promotion featuring 8 entrees for $9.99. Yep. In some cases it's a 29% price cut. Applebee's, since mid-November they've offered a 2 for $20 special with 2 entrees and 1 appetizer for $20. Of course, their drinks are still $8 a piece, but what can you do? Outback Steakhouse, the chain's been doing 15 meals that are under $15. Texas Roadhouse, I've never heard of it. Maybe it's got to be someplace other than here. Is it down south? They're doing early dine for $7.99 on weekdays, and they're trying to get the early week traffic. The Cheesecake Factory is they have small plates and snacks menu, including a $4.95 pizzette, a flat football-shaped pizza. And Morton's. Apparently Morton's is an upscale restaurant with an average check of $97 per person. They've got a $99 steak and seafood dinner for 2 and a $6 mini burger at the bar. But yeah, the full service dining industry is a $183 billion industry. So And they've got to do stuff to drive business. All right. Obama on Thursday did his first internet town hall meeting. And there were like 104,000 people had asked questions on the internet. The most popular question was, would the president support a bill to legalize marijuana as part of the economic stimulus plan? He kind of made a little offhanded joke and kind of just passed it on and said probably not. Which basically proves how stupid he is. I mean, he can see the benefits of hybrid cars and things like that, but he can't see the benefit of another cash crop. You know, this is something the government could pay farmers for. Farmers make out, the government put that big tax stamp on it. Maybe they could lower the taxes on cigarettes. Because the government's getting way too involved in our private life. New Hampshire House just voted down a bill that would ban adults from smoking cigarettes in their cars if their kids were in the car. And I say, if we want our kids to breathe smoke, we'll make them breathe smoke. They're our kids. Stay out of our lives. You know, you don't. When my kid is 18, that's when the government can start worrying about my kid. Until that, my kid is mine. That's the way people should think, but we're not. We're trying to fight for kids' rights, and all it's doing is hurting our country. Until you're 18 years old, you have no rights. You know, it's just the way it is. You are a kid. You break out the dictionary. You show, that should be the first thing that kids learn every single year in school, or maybe every single day in school. First lesson of the day. Here's a dictionary. Adult, child. You are the child. That means you have no responsibility. You don't have to take responsibility. Basically, your parents are responsible for you. But no. You are, and that's the rules. When the hammer comes down and we're living a by the Bible kind of a life, then that's what you will see, I think, right? Kids are kids. And they belong to their parents. And if I want to crucify my kid, I would crucify my kid. That's a parent's prerogative, apparently, according to the Bible. If you want to hang your kid on a cross, or if you want to get somebody to hang your kid on the cross, I think first you have to set him up and frame him or something. But anyway, Obama, I didn't hear much about it, but he took a lot of calls, and I guess it came off pretty well. Vermont. We'll talk about Vermont because I'm talking about the government being involved in things. I believe the camera 3, did you say? All right. I believe either the Vermont Senate, I think it was the Vermont Senate, just passed the same-sex marriage bill that would allow same-sex marriage in Vermont. Now, in order for it to get to the Senate, that means the House had to pass it. And then it goes to the Senate. The Senate passes it, it goes to the governor. If the House and the Senate of a state both pass a bill and it goes to the governor, and in this case the the governor of Vermont says he will veto it. Now, where does that sound at all even close to right? That basically says all these people voted for it, all these people voted for it, put it in front of one guy, and he says, well, you know, I don't really like fags. No. That's it. That's what we've taken our political powers to. It doesn't matter how many people vote on it, it still comes down to one man's opinion. And he can veto it. And that's wrong. That's very wrong. Maybe we should send him to Mexico. We're having huge problems on the Mexican border. And it's not apparently... Now this is coming a year since the last time I've said anything or even seen anything about the southern border. You know, all of a sudden when the economy started going downhill, you didn't hear any more about illegal immigrants or immigration or border or Ramos and Campion, who, I might add, the two border guards are still in prison for trying to stop a drug dealer from coming across the border. Now, this is why we're having such a problem, because our guys shoot a drug dealer, we lock them up. The drug dealer goes free. Now, oh my God, Mexico's in hot water having all these drug problems. Well, maybe you should have not arrested those guys that shot the drug dealer. Maybe we'd have more border guards shooting drug dealers and putting an end to it. But this is hardcore, almost like paramilitary groups, and it's the drug cartels. It's these big warlords that, because they're processing the drugs, transporting the drugs, selling the drugs, the warlord is making all this money, and when one person in a village that doesn't even have running water has $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, guess what? He's the king. And that's just the way it works. But we're going to intercede or something, or try to intercede. A lot of the guns that they're using go down from the United States. And I don't know why we send our guns down there. Maybe because we don't want people killing people here. So we send the guns to Mexico. Maybe the Mexicans will kill each other. It has been working. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of Americans that are falling in the crossfire.
Well, how else are we going to stir up a good war? I mean, that's how we got Iraq and Iran going, is we, sent all the weapons over there and gave them to them, taught them how to use them, and then they said, okay, let's play.
Yeah. But we won't have to worry about illegal immigration anymore. Now they're talking about 1.5 million refugees. Not illegal immigrants, refugees. See how it's different when you call them something different? Then they're the poor downtrodden refugees. We'll take care of them. They're not a threat if they're refugees, apparently. My whole point that I was thinking of is people in the United States, Americans that are born in the United States, would not have any kind of connections to South America without people that had come up. I mean, you don't just all of a sudden get a phone call from a cartel leader, going, yeah, Joe, we need you to push some cocaine up there. No. Chances are the people that are the main drug people are probably illegal immigrants or maybe legal immigrants that came from Mexico and South America in the first place to here. If we just said nobody from South America or Mexico can come into our country and Americans can't go down there, we would have no drug problem. All our drugs would be right here.
Can't we just send the refugees up to Canada?
I don't
Average
think
citizen
so.
up there doesn't have a gun. They won't have to worry about getting shot at.
I don't think we can send them up there. We have to take care of them because we're the United States. And we're a lot of the cause. Just the sheer demand for cocaine and heroin and methamphetamines, that's what's driving this whole thing. You know, I don't think it's so much the weed, but maybe it is.
But the weed you can still grow here.
Yeah, the weed you can grow around here. Now, if the United States was smart, the government was smart, they would legalize pot, pay the farmers to grow it, shut off the supply lines, and then crack down on all forms of cocaine, heroin, you know, all the hard man-made drugs. I mean, hell, if somebody wanted to send a bushel of coca leaves up here, maybe we could start chewing on them instead of mixing them with acetone and all the other crap you mix them with to make cocaine. That's all I'm saying. The plant is not a drug. The plant is just a plant, the coca plant. The drug comes when they take the plant and mix it with everything else. Why don't people understand that? It's the actual, you make the drugs. All right. That's enough about Mexico. We just keep your ears open, your eyes open, because who knows what we're going to end up facing down there. But I think we should, pull a Panama and, like we did with Noriega, send in the Special Forces team, send in the CIA hit people, the wet work people, and, take out these warlords. That's all we're going to have to do. The Pentagon issued a memorandum this week. And it's stupid. I guess from now on, the war on terror will no longer be referred to as the war on terror. The Pentagon would like us to now refer to it as the Overseas Contingency Operation. Yeah. And terrorist strikes, the Pentagon would like us to refer to now as man-made disasters. Yeah. No. Let's call the shit what it is. Plain and simple. They go, well, it sounds less threatening if you call it a man-made disaster. A man-made disaster is when you do your own plumbing and in the middle of a turd, your toilet falls apart. That's a man-made disaster. Blowing up a building, that's an act of terrorism. Or a crime at the very least. But no, it's the whole language thing. If you call a pile of shit a rose, guess what? It still stinks. And if you call terrorism something else, it's still terrorism. We could call airplane hijackers. Why call them hijackers? Why not just call them, free travelers? Motivated passengers. Or something, airline planning consultants. Flight plan consultants. That's what I would call them. Yeah, let's go to the music clip. Wow, I'm running real late, aren't I? All right, this week on the Mom's Tattoo musical interlude, Katie Clark and the Green River Band. All right, we'll go back to musical interlude. Decided to freeze up on us tonight. Oh, well. I'll do this story. To tell you the power of the media. When was it that he did? NASA was having an online contest. Oh, all right. You want to do it? We'll do it. All right. Katie Clark and the Green River Band.
Darling, I am what I do. Did you tell me it's making you blue? Then I'll take my ways and I'll turn them around. Put my feet back squarely on your ground. 'Cause I lose my way without your smile. I'll be out there a country mile, and that ain't the place I wanna be. I don't want that hammer dropped on me. Darling, I'll do what you say. Did you tell me it's not looking that way? Then I'll take my ways and I'll turn them around. I'll turn them around. That's all, turn them around. 'Cause you light a room up with your smile, and you keep me your rank and file, and that's just the place I wanna be. I don't want you to set me free. Darling, I'll sing you a song. Did you tell me that tune's just all wrong? Then I'll change the tune, the words and the key. I'll rewrite the entire melody, 'cause I lose my way without your smile. I'll be out there a country mile, and that ain't the place I wanna be. I don't want that hammer dropped on me.
All right. Yeah, good song, a little country, a little rock and roll, All right, I started to say back a while ago, NASA had an online contest to name the new room of the International Space Station. And they had a few names to vote on, but they made the mistake of having a write-in column. Well, when Stephen Colbert from the Colbert Report heard about this, he put out a plea to his audience to write his name in. And he won the NASA contest. 230,539 votes. They clobbered the second choice, the name Serenity, which was one of NASA's choices, and they beat that by more than 40,000 votes. Yeah. I do want to say that in the fine print of the contest, NASA did reserve the right to choose an appropriate name, no matter what the contest said. NASA will decide in April, but it will give the top vote getters the most consideration. But I don't think you're going to see that, unless maybe, you know, the Colbert Room or something. But yeah, the power of national, well, international TV, I should say. That's what that'll get you. If I asked everybody to, you know, all 3 people or 4 people that watch the show would write in, maybe. What else? Anything other important I was going to talk about? No, not really. Just before the funeral services, the undertaker walked up to the widow and said, "So how old was your husband?" 98, she replied. 2 years older than me. The undertaker says, "So you're 96?" And she said, "Yup, hardly worth going home, isn't it?" This happened to reporters that were interviewing a 104-year-old woman. They said, "What do you think the best thing about being 104 is?" The old lady replied, "No peer pressure." The nice thing about being senile is you can hide your own Easter eggs. Yeah. Well, this was a good one. Says, I've sure gotten old. I've had 2 bypass surgeries, a hip replacement, new knees, fought prostate cancer and diabetes. I'm half blind, can't hear anything quieter than a jet engine, take 40 different medications that make me dizzy, winded, and subject to blackouts, have bouts with dementia, have poor circulation, hardly feel my hands and feet anymore, can't remember if I'm 85 or 92, have lost all my friends. Thank God I still got my driver's license. This is a note from a lady. She says, I feel like my body's gotten totally out of shape, so I got my doctor's permission to join a fitness club and start exercising. I decided to take an aerobics class for seniors. I bent, twisted, gyrated, jumped up and down, and perspired for an hour. But by the time I got my leotards on, the class was over. You know how to prevent sagging? You just eat till the wrinkles fill out. I shouldn't say that because now people will start doing that, and I'll be blamed for all the obesity in the world. And you know, it's scary when you start making the same noises as your coffee maker. I do in the morning. This is the senility prayer. It says, grant me the senility to forget the people I never liked anyway, the good fortune to run into the ones I do, and the eyesight to tell the difference. Yeah. Always remember, you don't stop laughing because you grow old because you stop laughing. A little piece of wisdom there. All right. Let me do a couple of more of these. These were, I mean, I'm not really sure who Maxine is, but apparently people write to her with problems and she figures out the answer to the problems. She figured out the problems of illegal immigration, hurricane recovery, and alligators attacking people in Florida. She says the first thing you do is you dig a moat the length of the Mexican border. You send all the dirt to New Orleans so they can rebuild the levees. And then you put the Florida alligators in the moat along the Mexican border. And that solves all three problems. The answer for illegal aliens she's got here. Because she put together the fact that during the mad cow epidemic a few years ago, the government was able to track a single cow born in Canada almost 3 years prior, and they tracked this cow right to the stall where she slept in the state of Washington. And they tracked her calves to their stalls. But they're unable to locate 11 million illegal aliens. Maybe we should just give all the illegal immigrants a cow, and the government would be able to find them. They keep talking about drafting a constitution for Iraq. She says, why don't we just give them ours? It was written by a lot of really smart guys. It's worked for over 200 years, and we're not using it anymore. Good point. So that was answers from Maxine. Not very good answers, but they're answers. I found a good one here. The bra that Marilyn Monroe wore in the movie Some Like It Hot was sold for $14,000. Yep. It was big. Apparently it was big. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it sold for that much money.
Collector's item.
It was, yeah, collector's item. Since the Lego Group began manufacturing blocks in 1949, more than 189 billion pieces in 2,000 different shapes have been produced. This is enough for about 30 Lego pieces for every living person on Earth. 5/1000th of a millimeter is the tolerance of accuracy at the Lego mold factories. That's kind of cool, huh? And that reminded me, I was going to say something else. I saw a thing, if you had a child born on Wednesday of this week, its share of the national deficit is $22,000. Please pay up. And I say by the time the kid's 10, it'll be $53 million or something like that. 1 minute. All right. I want to thank the huge crew we had tonight, and everybody else on No Spin tonight. Very interesting. You're going to want to stick around and catch this. They're going to start out with John Lupa, the football coach from the high school. I don't know what he's going to be talking about, really, except maybe football. And then followed by John Lupa, Randy and Chris are going to be joined by Police Chief Art Walker and Lieutenant Sturdy Thomas from the Keene Police Force to talk about the rising drug problem, I believe, in the Keene Middle School. Kind of scary. Well, thank my crew, thank Mom's Tattoo. Till next week, this is Rick Blood. Peace.